Okay. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. How's
Good.
the week been so far? Good.
Mm-hmm.
Tracking is okay, going okay, and my fitness pal.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay. Well, we're gonna start with wins, and I'm gonna go from like I'm gonna go clockwise. Okay, I am recording. So Michelle, do you want to tell us any wins for the week so far?
I think my win really is just um the tracking, like just even me just holding myself accountable for what I'm putting in my mouth every day. And like I don't think I realized before I was tracking how much I was snacking through the day. And I'm sure that is like a huge part of like my weight issue because like being home for the summer, especially as a teacher, like I'm just gonna watch Stranger Things and have a little snack and then I sit with a bag of chips or whatever. And I haven't been doing that the last couple days because I'm more mindful of it.
Yeah, it's just they like it's obviously collecting data. So
Mm-hmm.
you see, and I noticed that in the first week I tracked. I have 4 young kiddos at home too, so I'm constantly like last bit of mac and cheese, couple goldfish. Like even
Mm-hmm.
I was a big nut snacker, and I would grab like I'd sit on the couch at the end of the night, grab a couple handfuls of nuts.
Yeah.
It's like
Were they big nuts or little nuts?
what?
Were they big nuts or little nuts?
I mean, they're cashews. The big nut's sitting next to me on the couch. So I'm kidding. So that is it's a huge win, and it just is like it makes you take a look at your like daily habits. And I know as moms too, or like just like not even standing at the island or standing in the kitchen, and like unless you actually sit down with a meal, like you don't even realize you're eating it, nor are you actually enjoying it. So again, it's like you have to look at like what it's worth. It's one thing to sit down and enjoy like a piece of chocolate or something, but like when you're just like
Right.
shoving it in your mouth because it's sitting there, it's like leftover or whatever it looks like. You're not even enjoying it. So
Right.
that's awesome. Hillary, how about you?
I have a couple things. Um, seeing what goes into all of my food has been really big, and seeing what I can have so much more of, and more voluminous foods or whatever you will call it. Having so much more of that, and then seeing, like you said about the nuts and stuff like that, that normally I would just mindlessly
Yes.
eat from the container. I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot of fat. So it's really just been eye-opening, and it's made me more aware.
Yeah.
Also, like I had a pack of donuts the other day, and I didn't feel bad about it. I logged it, and then I was conscious the rest of the day not to eat a ton of garbage, and so I left behind some guilt that normally I would have beat myself up over really bad.
That's awesome.
And third, planning has been huge. And I know that we're not really getting into macros yet, but I am planning my day before the day starts, really the night before. I'm planning what I'm eating. And normally I'd be driving home with the kids. I'd be, picking them up from school and driving home going, what are we going to eat for dinner? And just throwing together this hodgepodge of stuff from the fridge and not really being conscious of getting appropriate amount of nutrients or macros or whatever. And so that's been huge for me to force me to plan ahead.
Yeah. And to speak on that, I think in the upcoming weeks, when we start getting into macro tracking and getting really comfortable with weighing and tracking and entering things in my fitness pal, I think the biggest amount of success that can happen is when you start pre-logging, because then you don't get to your dinner and you're like, I had 50 grams of carbs to eat, and how the heck am I going to do that? Like it can be very overwhelming. So
Mhm.
it can be as easy as doing it the night before, or literally if you have time to do it. Sometimes I'll get my kids breakfast, I'll sit down and eat my breakfast, I'll add my breakfast, and then I'll be like, okay, this is what I think I'm going to have for lunch, and this is what I'm going to plan to have for dinner. Obviously, we're all
Things
about planning.
change.
It changes, it
Mhm.
changes.
Right.
But like it makes it very easy to know like I have these benchmarks and I'm going to have these meals and less mental bandwidth, to be honest with you. So you're not driving home, you've already known you pulled out whatever for
Mhm.
dinner to thaw or whatever that looks like, and you can get home and you can like put it together, as opposed to like then just reaching for like something random. Secondly, what I love about the donut thing is you can absolutely have a donut. You can have 2 donuts if you want them. You just have to like put it into your day. And we'll get to that a little like when it comes to like really tracking. For me, I like if I know I'm a snacker, and I always like something sweet at the end of the night. I put that stuff in first. That's non-negotiable for me,
Hmm.
and it gives me something to look forward to, and it gives me, it's already in there. I don't even have to think about it. So I think that's great. And
I
again,
like
the whole
that.
nut thing, and I think with the you can have 3. I would have 3. Let's just say 3 handfuls. That's easily close to 600 calories, and I'm still hungry.
Hmm.
You can literally have like 150 grams of white rice, 100 grams of chicken, and like 200 grams of vegetables on a huge plate, and it's literally half of those calories. So it just goes to show like those things that are non-negotiable are non-negotiable. But if you can like have a sustenance meal and like actually be full, and instead of like grabbing for some nuts and then like 20 minutes later being like, well, I'm still hungry, like what can I eat next, so it's just figuring out what works for you and what works for your body. So those are huge. That's awesome, Hillary. Karen, any wins for you this week?
So I've been counting macros for a year. So that
Okay.
part is kind of set for me. I'm really interested to see where you put my numbers, because obviously I think they need to be changed. But so that part's easy for me because I do it the night before. I think that's super helpful.
Yeah.
I put it in and I have my non-negotiable, same thing, like things that go in first, and then I'll work the rest of my day around it. What's in the fridge, what I want to have. What I did this week that was different was doing the workouts for July. And it was funny. I think, Elena, you commented, which is the same thing I would have, which was after like the 3 days, I'm like, this is like half of what I usually do, right? Like this is not enough, which I noticed was your response, which is me, just because I'm used to probably like twice as much as I'm doing in terms of the strength, right? Like the cardio is the same, and I've always like walking is, fine to fit in, but the strength is half of what I've done. So that was comical, and it is a win if it works, because it's a lot nicer than what I was doing. And I do have a question about that when we get to it. It's just in terms of how he has it outlined, and I want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. But as a win, it's like, wow, I'm exercising for half the time and still getting the gain. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, I vividly remember like boxering Tony, and I'm like, hey, I'm not sweating. I like it wasn't like super hard, like all the things. And now I can laugh about it now because he was probably like, oh, okay, like I've heard this before. But I was used to literally, I mean, some days I would work out 6-7 days a week. And like if I couldn't walk, or like if I wasn't crazy sore, or like didn't get
right.
It was amazing to me to watch the progress. And I've never had a deltoid ever in my entire life. For as much as I've worked out, I took all the classes, like all the things. So just trust the process, which I hate like saying that, because it does work. And I love and I couldn't tell you, sometimes here and there I'll get sweaty in my workouts. It's very minimal. And I like that I can go down. I work out in my basement and I can literally knock it out. Sometimes if I don't want to do the stretching, if I don't have the time for it, and I know I'm like good to go, I can knock it out to 20-30 minutes. And 30 minutes is usually max, unless my kids come down and like interrupt me a couple times. But it is super cool. He knows what he's doing. Him and I chat often because, I talk about like different variations of like squatting and stuff like that. And I love that he won't ever make anybody back squat, because like a lot of injury comes from back squatting, and he'll do a lot of front variations, which is sumos. I'm not sure, I didn't really look through the whole 12-week program, but like a lot of front loading, which can alleviate stress on the lower back and injury. So the workout program's cool, and I'm like, rest day, like what are those?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you gotta listen to your body too, and we can get there when we have questions. But like, if you're like, I always get down there, and if I'm not feeling it after 10 minutes or so, I'm like, you know what, my body's telling me to do something else. I'll go for a walk. I'll just try and get steps in, because like I truly think this whole process and what they're talking about, just like mental health, I think some days I'm just like, you know what, I don't feel like doing it. And like, again, progress isn't hindered, but I had to get over that. Like, I'm gonna skip my workout today. It's like my progress, like I'm not gonna gain any muscle. So
Yep.
that's all malarkey. So good. I'm like, those are huge wins. I like, my win for the week is getting to be here with you, but like today was a day. Like my kids were nutty, and I, the other day I was all, oh, we only have X amount of weeks of summer left, and today I was like, we only have X amount of weeks because
Yeah.
my win was like getting through my day without like major mommy meltdowns, because it just, I have 4 girls, lots of fighting, lots of yelling, so we got through it. Okay, so I want to just kind of go over any questions we have. Obviously we don't have macros yet, but I just want to make sure, and nobody didn't have any questions on MyFitnessPal or the actual tracking sheet and how things are tracking. Are you guys finding that things are somewhat cohesive when you go from MyFitnessPal to your tracking sheet when it comes to your numbers? Because sometimes there can be some like margin of error, so don't be alarmed if you follow your numbers over and it's a little off. That's totally normal. And yeah, go ahead.
I have 2 questions about MyFitnessPal. Why? So in one of the videos, they said not to allow it to track your movement.
Right.
So our calories are going to be set regardless of how much we move. Okay.
Most of the time, the activity trackers are very, very far off. Most people aren't burning 500-600 calories a workout.
Yeah.
So we don't like to even allot for that, because people will end up overeating. Like, oh, well, I worked out today and my watch said I burned 500 calories, so I'm gonna eat 500 more. You might have burned 200. And like most of the time you have a resting like heart rate where you're burning, like even if I'm just sitting here for an hour, I'm burning X amount of calories. So we don't like to track it. If you don't have the upgraded version, like I wouldn't even put in, I know they want your like goal weight and all that stuff, and they try and base your numbers off of like your goal weight. We turn the activity tracker off just because it's inconsistent. So any extra movement is just extra movement, obviously walking and getting your steps in helps metabolism and helps burn throughout the day. I mean, I always think if I'm having a hard day and I'm like wanting to be snacky or grab for things, oftentimes I'm bored and I try and just like literally, even that means like walking around my block, because I generally feel better. And I'm like, no, I was just like having a moment. And if I get back and I'm like truly hungry, then I'll eat something. But they're a good question though, because a lot of the times people keep that on.
Cool. And then I have a second question. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions.
No, I want everybody to be on the same page, and so ask away.
So on the macro tracking sheet, the non-food body basics, the hours of sleep, I'm putting them in from like last night's sleep are in today. Is that right? Okay, cool.
I had that same question, so thank you for asking that.
Yeah, that's a little wonky. So it'll be the night before's sleep.
Perfect.
Does anybody else have any questions off the top of your? Yeah, go ahead, Michelle. Unmute though.
So I did not upgrade yet.
Okay.
But I noticed that in the regular thingamabob, MyFitnessPal, that it does tell me how many calories I'm getting of carbs, fat, and protein. So should I be putting that in on my sheet, the number of calories, or the number, because I don't have macros. I mean, I guess I could just upgrade now.
Yeah, and I don't. Okay, so
I haven't done it.
And I could go to the desktop one, but it's completely different than the. So, do you have your phone on you?
Yes.
Okay, go to your MyFitnessPal. I just want to see what yours says, because if I go into my more down here and go into my goals, so mine here, which you're not going to be able to see, so I don't know why I'm trying to tell you. Mine says carbs or calorie, carb, protein, and fat goals. Does yours say that?
When I click on nutrition, it tells me.
No, hit on goals. Do goals.
Oh, wait, where is that? Okay, where do I go again?
Goals should be right above nutrition. But maybe that's the upgraded version.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't have
so
that.
That's what I can do that you can't. So the upgraded version will allow me to put in my macros exactly. So when I give you macros, say, you're at 100 grams of protein, 130 grams of carbs, 40 grams of fat. I'm able to put those in exactly, and it'll give me an exact calorie count because those three will be interchangeable with calories anyway.
I'm just gonna do it right.
What?
I'm just gonna upgrade right now.
You know what? Honestly, it's easier.
I did
It's
it.
like $20 for the year. It's easier, and that way when you're in your diary, you can see like today it says I have 30 carbs left, 3 grams of fat, and I'm negative 29 in my protein.
Okay. Because it was telling me calories of not macro. I don't know.
It'll tell you, I think
It looks
in my
different
mind,
already. So
it'll tell you the calories you have left for the day at the top, I believe.
And you
yes.
can
I think
click,
there's
you
a
can like,
space that you can go
yeah.
into that will give you your macro breakdown, but you kind of have to look for it. Which
Yep,
to me,
it's right there.
like the extra mental bandwidth. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like to
Mhm.
just be able to see them up here and know. And that's a good example. Like I still have 31 carbs left, but I'm negative 29. Carbs and protein are like interchangeable. So I'm negative 20. They're 4 calories per gram. So both carbs and protein. So I'm super over on my protein. So I'm going to keep my carbs kind of where they're at because it'll keep my calorie count. Like if I'm negative, I don't know why I'm trying to show you my phone because it's like if I'm negative and I'm still trying to hit my carbs, I'm going to be way over my calories. Does that make sense?
Yes. Now I'm looking at it. Oh wait, no. Because it says total, goal, and left, even though technically I don't have a goal yet. What my fitness pal is telling me. So it told me like yesterday I had 98 grams of protein. My goal was 70, so I went over 28 grams of
Well, and you
protein.
you don't really have a goal right now. So
Right,
you're
okay.
not going over anything. You're just eating normal. So completely disregard that.
Okay.
And it stinks that the desktop version of MyFitnessPal is so different from your phone because I could walk you through there, but it's not even worth it because it doesn't look anything like
Okay.
the app. But if you guys have like again any of these questions, pop them in the thread throughout the week. If you're like totally confused, I'll screenshot things, and I'll answer things as best as possible. But I feel like getting to know, especially in this first week, if you've never macro tracked, or used MyFitnessPal or logged a lot, I feel like just getting to know the app and how you add things. I always like to, and I know I might have said this, I always like to look for logs that are USDA approved, that be with the little green check mark, because you just know that those are going to be pretty accurate. So, anybody else have any questions?
Not about that.
Oh, no, any questions?
Okay, I do have questions about like the fitness thing. I'm trying to pull up the sheet.
Yeah.
When
And I'll try and go to my Leans of Fitness. Sorry, it was in this earlier, and I'll pull up the fitness sheet. But go ahead.
okay, so you're going through your strength circuit and there's 4 exercises in day 1. Goblet squat, and then below it, double kettlebell or step ups. If I choose goblet squat the first round, do I stick with that same move as I repeat the circuit, or do I like do goblet squat once and squat once and then, switch it up? Or do you always stick with the same move? Or does it not matter?
I would, okay, so
like in my yesterday I did this day 1 and I chose.
I think the 2 below might be and I will clarify this with Paul or Tony, but I think so goblet squat would be the main exercise. You would do that 8 to 10 reps. You would go to your chest supported dumbbell row. You'd go to your plank shoulder taps, your hammer curl. I think the 2 underneath are going to be alternatives.
Okay. And that's how I
any issues doing a goblet squat. Obviously it would go to the double kettlebell squat and then step ups. I think that would probably be the easier version. Chest supported dumbbell row. Sometimes people don't have a bench, which a chest supported is you're leaning against the bench. So these would just be alternatives, I guess, dependent on the equipment you have at home too.
Okay, and
That these are easier variations. I think it's dependent on the equipment.
okay, but once I choose one for day one, I kind of if
I would
I
stick with it, yes, because
stick with it.
this will be week. This is what this is week 1 and 2, 15 minutes, and then you add it. So you want to, and I don't know if you want to print this or if you guys want to use a notebook. It's nice too to sometimes jot down, be like, I use X amount of weight week 1, X amount of weight week 2, 3, and 4. Just so you have notes and you can go back. It like if something's similar in the next month or the next week or whatever that looks like, and you can kind of see how you're progressing. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Yep. And then as far as weight choices, is the goal to max out by the time we hit that, what, you know, it's either 8 to 10, 10 to 12, whatever the reps is the goal to max out so that you are like dying by the time you get to that 10th rep. And then, you know, you either need to stay at the same weight or drop weight, or if you get to 10 easy, you need to go up in weight. Is that the goal here?
I would think if you're getting through all sets of these and you're like not like crazy winded at the end, then I would bump up the weight. If you're like, you know, getting to your last set of goblet squats and you're like, dang, this is getting hard, I would think that weight would be good, or you can drop if you need to. Again, listen to your body, but yeah, you don't want to like breeze through them and, you know, get to, is it like, is it 15 minutes? Okay. You don't want to get through these and at the end be like, oh, well, that was really easy. So then, you know, or if you did get through, it was like, well, I could do more next week, make a little note, be like, I can bump up weight. Because you can always go down if you get to like, say you can get through, I don't know, 3 or 4 sets of these, like, probably more. And like, you know, set 1, X amount of weight, like set 2, X amount of weight, set 3, I had to drop weight because I was getting tired. Because you obviously want to make sure you maintain form too. So if you do need to drop weight, for sure.
Okay, that makes sense.
Answer
But
your
yeah,
question?
yes. I mean, the goal of this is muscle building. So you want to be
start so high that you're like, you have nowhere to go from there either, and that you're going to end up hurting yourself. I know sometimes when I first started the program, I was like, well, I'm going to do this real heavy. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, I have nowhere to go from here because I wouldn't be able to do, like, let's say bicep curls. I like was trying to start at 15 or something like that, or 20, or I don't even remember. And I was like, well, it's kind of hard. And then my form was going, you know, to crap. So I just had to like really focus on form and then know I would get there. So.
okay. Perfect. That makes sense.
Makes
Thank
sense?
you. Mm-hmm.
Day 2 and similar thing. Okay. Cool. So did anybody like meal prep or anything this week? I know I saw Katie, you did. What did you end up making?
Let's see, I did, well, you had shared this with our friends, but the turkey, sweet potato, and cottage cheese.
Ooh, it sounds nasty, but it's so good.
It's so good. And I was full forever. And it's like the best protein. And I get my sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. I made like 5 of them in the air fryer on Sunday. So I made that. I did, Emily had posted the Instapot chicken with that jalapeno mango barbecue sauce and coconut aminos. And that was like, I still have a little bit, but I've been kind of eating through that. I prepped with some hard-boiled eggs. I did a lot of like, I put it all on a piece of paper. So I knew like if I needed a snack, what I could get that I had already made. I had all the meals kind of laid out. I could choose what I wanted, but I remember I was listening to one of Angie's recordings about having like a couple different protein options and then adding things to it. So like I had chicken to go. I did like chicken kebabs with like rice. So stuff like that. I think my problem is I love my food, and that's I stress eat, and I'm noticing that I never ate enough protein. So I feel like if I'm including that, I stay full forever, you know?
Well, and again, like we like to see people add or over protein. It's obviously great for your body. But also looking at like complex carbs. I mean, you could eat like carbs out of a package, whatever, but like the complex carbs are really going to keep you fuller longer. Your potatoes, your rice, like your veggies, these things that have a little bit more volume.
I did have some rice too, which I haven't had in forever. Cause I'm always like, no rice, no rice.
I always thought white rice was going to make me fat.
Yep, that's what I always thought.
So I like never touched it. I wouldn't even look at it because I'm like, this is the devil. And I got so much joy eating. I have eaten more white rice. I buy the big I shop at Aldi, so I buy like they have this like big 5 or 10 pound bag, and I think I've been through 3 of them so far. But it's just like there's freedom in realizing that like no food is bad for you, and that you can actually eat these things, and like the carbs aren't going to make you fat. Carbs are actually a great source of energy, and I can attest that I think the amount of carbs that I'm eating actually like make my muscles look really pretty. So I am all about like never again in my life. I was forever, most of my life or like adult life, I was a low carb like or no carb person. So this is huge freedom. But I like having things prepped, and I always like to keep a bowl if I'm going to be eating a lot of white rice that week. I always have white rice prepped. I always same chicken, ground turkey, and I'll salt and pepper my ground turkey and cook it in a little bit of bone broth just for like a little flavor. And then I'll add buffalo sauce to it one day. I'll add coconut aminos and veggies, and like we could do tacos with it I'll throw it in my eggs in the morning. It's just you can do a lot with those, and ground turkey is a great lean protein. That's not going to add a lot of fat and to your day, which is nice. A lot of shrimp, which is great because if you're ever in a bind where like you're getting to dinner and you're like, I need to hit my protein goal, but I kind of like don't have a ton of calories left. Shrimp is always a good go-to if you guys like it. But just creating some of those staple meals and some of those easy single ingredient foods that you can easily, like sweet potatoes are great to have prepped and in the fridge. You can toss them into your eggs. You can toss them in. And if you guys haven't tried it, try some ground turkeys, some sweet potatoes, and toss in like a quarter cup of cottage cheese because cottage cheese has great protein. It's a little slice of heaven. So
it was.
Anybody else do any prepping this week?
I cooked a bunch of chicken and hard-boiled eggs, but it was a lot of like just one ingredient type things, just to have things ready, and had like cheese sticks and beef jerky and meat sticks and stuff like that I love, for when I'm on the go or at work or
I keep beef sticks in my car because you just never know when you're gonna eat it. And
totally.
usually some protein bars, but now with the heat, they melt. So I love food, and I often think about food often. So I always need something close to me and it's nice, like I said, building in snacks and stuff like that because I love to snack. So it's just, again, looking forward to the day, especially when you have your day planned and knowing what you're going to eat. You don't have to like think of it, and it doesn't stress you out to be like, we got to this point, dinner, lunch, whatever, and I don't know what to grab right now. So, and again, that's great to have those single ingredient foods already prepped in your fridge, because if you don't have a plan, you're like, okay, well, great, I have chicken, I have ground turkey, I have like some white potato or something, some potatoes already ready. Like there's a meal right there, and I don't have to think about it. So,
Lane, I have a quick question. What's your go-to like sweet at night? That's like an easy, quick, because I have the same kind of problem. Like at night, I want something sweet before I go to bed.
Okay. So it depends on how many calories I have. I'm a big fan of Keto Crunch. It's like Catalina Crunch. It's technically a keto cereal, but it's got like lower carb and higher protein. I think it's got 11 grams of protein. So if I just want to have something crunchy that's kind of sweet, it's the cinnamon one. I've had the dark chocolate one. That one kind of tastes like cardboard. But I'll either take, because that's like a full cup is like one serving. So I feel like it's enough. If I have like 150 calories ish, I will do a light and fit Greek yogurt. My favorite's the strawberry cheesecake. And I will put a quarter cup of the Keto Crunch in it with some Lily's white chocolate chips and some fresh strawberries. And it's usually around 150 calories, maybe a little under. And it's delicious. It is so good.
That sounds good.
Sometimes if I know I'm gonna have popcorn, because we're big popcorn, if my kids would let me, if they would ask me for popcorn every single night, which popcorn is a great source of carbs, and I can literally have like 3 cups for 60 calories or something like that. But I'll have that, and then I'll have like two or three Dove dark chocolates, because they're like 40 calories a piece, so it's usually just enough. And again, or I'll take handfuls of the Lily's chocolate chips.
I like those. Yeah.
And the Lily white chocolate chips are delicious. And even tonight, before I got on the call here, I got this bag of there's s'more brittle bites that Costco has, and I like measured out half of the serving, so I think it was like 30 grams, and it was like 3 bark pieces, and it was like just enough. Like, sure, a year ago could I have eaten half of the bag, but like 3 pieces is actually just the right amount, you know. So that's usually what I like lean towards. And again, fruit, like I cantaloupe, you can have like 5 ounces of cantaloupe for like 70 calories. Watermelon, they both have like a lot of water, so they fill you up quicker, and they're very low calorie. So
Do you ever get to the
the
point?
Yasso bars are good.
ooh, Yasso bars are my jam, Karen.
I did get those.
I forgot about those. So I have like every flavor because I am like, they're my, I mean, obviously the ones that have like the chocolate coating are the best, in my opinion. The sea salt crunch is really good, but I have like, they had a big box of mint chocolate chip at Costco, so I got those. And those are 100 calories. Those are probably the lowest calorie ones. The cookie dough is really good. Those are 120 calories. The chocolate covered ones are 150. But that's, I usually leave myself like 200 calories at night because I can have like that and some popcorn maybe. Thank you for saying that though. Those are game changer. They're so good, especially if you want and like ice cream. What were you going to ask, Hillary?
If you ever get to the point where you don't have to track, like, do you ever know so well, like does Angie still track all of her food every day, weigh it and everything? Okay.
And I'll give you my opinion there, because I remember, I love my husband to death, but when I first started the program, he's like, you really gonna like weigh your food and like track it? And I'm like, yeah. And it makes sense now. Like, and I've been doing this since January. For me, it's easier. It's so easy to do it. It's second nature. So my scale is always by my stove. Obviously, if I'm out, I'm out. I like, you know, I'm not gonna weigh or track it. Or I'm not gonna weigh. I will track it, but I'm not gonna like worry about it. I can eyeball it and do the best I can. But for me, at home, it is so easy just to pop. I'm so used to doing it. Pop my bowl in there, make my pancakes, and log it really quick. Just because, and I can attest, like when I went into my reverse and into maintenance, like I think you get comfortable and you get a little grabby, which is fine. Like my weight stayed the same, but when I went back into a cut, because I like goals changed for my body, and I had to like really zero in on things. Me eyeballing my peanut butter, I'm always gonna give myself more. I don't like, you know what I mean? So for me, everybody's different. If you choose to, you can choose to do whatever you want, obviously, like, but for me, especially when I'm at home, it's so easy to do it that like, for me, I'm like, why would I not? Like, again, my scale's always there. I can easily, all of the stuff I normally eat, most of our creatures of habits, like are already in there. So it takes like all of 2 seconds. And so, yes. And we were all on a call today and we were talking about this because we were talking about different cuts and stuff like that and why the first one's so easy and other cuts are a little bit more difficult. And you know, she's like, I have been tracking and weighing my food for 6 years, and she's like, and I'll continue to do it because it's just so easy to do it. And for those that have never tracked and weighed, it really does. Like, I feel like in the first few weeks, I feel like I was a little overwhelmed because I was usually always a recipe maker. Like, while they were healthy, it was like 8 million ingredients. And I was like trying to log all this stuff. And I was like, I'm like, forget this. This is like ridiculous. And now I know, I don't have to like cook like that unless I choose to do it and I like thoroughly enjoy it, but I can make just as like wonderful, yummy meals with all my single ingredients than I can making some like recipe that's going to take me a lot longer. Like, I just know for like my mental bandwidth and my mental health that like, I don't need to do all that to get a yummy meal. So it's going to be different for everybody, but I probably will.
I definitely feel like right now, I mean, of course, I'm learning and I've never weighed my food before. I've tracked, but not like this, not to this level. So I feel a little like obsessive compulsive about it. I feel like this is consuming my life, and I know it will get easier
Oh,
But
100%.
okay.
And that is the thing, because it does feel, and I think just like unattaching those emotions to it, because I did get somebody, they're like, well, isn't that obsessive? Isn't that like my husband? He's like, that's crazy. Like, you're crazy. And I like after a few weeks, once like I realized, and I'll give you a little tip that I did not know until I started this program. Your weight, your scale can zero out. I remember like when I tried to weigh things before, I had like a pen and paper, and I was like, okay, 200 grams minus my plate and whatever. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And then Angie said it in one of, or maybe it's in like one of the earlier videos. I was like, duh, like this makes things so much easier. But I do feel like the first few weeks are always just like working through the kinks, and I can assure you that it'll get easier. Karen, you tracked for a really long time. Do you agree?
100%. In the beginning, it is crazy, but it is because everything's in there and you just hit it 1, 2, 3. And it really makes such a difference because I've done it for so long, and then I stopped for a while, and same thing. I'm like, well, I know what to eyeball and I know how many grams of protein. And then before you know it, it really is not working. So I went back to tracking.
Creeping up, and we
Yeah.
just get like lax and easy. And that was like talking about going into the second cut, which is getting way ahead. But it's like, the second time you go into cut, you're like, well, I've done this before. It's going to be fine. And then you're like, but I'm used to eating, 1,800, 1,900, 2,000 plus calories, and you're going back into a cut. So it will for sure get easier.
Okay.
I promise. And again, if you have any questions there, please feel free to ask in the thread throughout the week. If you're like, dang, I can't find an entry for this, or this seems off, let us know. And so did anybody get through like the week 1 videos? Everybody's good?
Mhm.
Oh, can't hear you, Elena.
What?
Oh, there you are. Couldn't hear you for a second.
Oh, sorry. That is really all I have. We were just checking in. We'll get into some of the week 2 stuff next week. And then obviously Sunday, everybody's going to get me their sheets. I think I have access to everybody's. I think I'm missing Elisa's, but she's not on here. And I emailed her earlier. So I have access to everybody's sheets so I can see them. So thank you. And I will set macros to you guys by Monday and let the fun begin.
So we send those to you Sunday, you said, right?
Michelle, do I have access to yours?
I don't know.
No, I don't think I have access to yours.
What do? I just share? Oh, I just share it with you.
Yeah, and just send it to my email, and you can share that with me, and then I should be able to just see everything. So as long as it's up to date, stop screen sharing. Oh, it's not open. As long as all of your info on your sheet is up to date, I will be able to take a look at your week and set your macros accordingly.
Okay. I'm going to go back and change some things now that I'm official macro in the macro group because I was putting in the calorie stuff. So now I'm going to do it. The other question was that I had, is the workout this week just the 3-day and then the bonus?
Yes.
Or am I missing a sheet?
No.
That's it?
Did I go? It should be the 3 days.
Yeah.
Day 1, day 2, and day 3, and then you will have a bonus.
Okay.
So up to you. If you want to do a 4-day a week, you can do a 4-day a week. If you just want to do the 3, that's awesome too. I'd really just focus on some steps. And your step goal, I think, was 8 to 10, 9 to 10,000, 8 to 10,000. But just do the best you can. Is everybody cool with drinking a ton of water?
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to somebody else earlier, and they're like, "Oh, drinking that much water has been a pain in the butt." And they're like, or maybe somebody saying in the thread about going to the bathroom all the time.
That was me. Yeah. I'm like passing all the girls in the office.
I cut off my water at a certain point because I will be up all night, and like I've had 4 children, so it's like sometimes I feel like I forget that I like haven't gone to the bathroom, and then like I get to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, I really have to go to the bathroom because I literally drank so much water. So I see you there. And that's another great thing about not doing workouts that you don't want to do. No jumping for me anymore. So,
Yeah.
well, if,
And
if anybody,
sorry.
go ahead.
I have two more questions. I'm sorry. I'll make these as fast as possible. Protein. Do you encourage people to use protein to get protein powders and stuff like that to get enough protein during the day?
I think that it is definitely helpful, especially if you're struggling to hit protein goals. So if you want to throw a protein shake in there, it's easy 30 grams of calories, or 30 grams of protein generally. I really like some of the Fairlife protein milk, if you can get your hands on it, because I feel like around this
Oh
time,
yeah.
I mean, my Costco usually has it, and I honestly like, I'll take half of it and cold brew and do like a latte,
Ooh, that's so
like
good.
3 o'clock in the day.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
So good. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting some protein from protein shakes
Okay.
at all.
Cool. And then my second question, and then I swear I'm done, is so on when you're in Lingzo Fitness Academy and you're in the My Library, there's the 12-week anti-diet nutrition course and then the Lingzo Fitness. Are we supposed to be doing both? There's like week 1 of both, week 2 of both.
Yep. So
Okay.
you'll go into bronze and do your week 1 there, and then you'll go into the anti-diet course, and then you'll do creating identity.
Okay, perfect. That's what I've been doing.
Do week 2.
Okay, I did have to do a little digging around because the week 1 links didn't work in ours. I had to like search them and find them, but I figured it out.
In the bronze group?
In the bronze group, yeah. And then once I got into it, like I did some searching and I got into it, then I could get into it no matter how I looked. So I don't know.
Anybody else have problems?
Mine came out
No.
fine, but maybe I was at the wrong spot. I don't know.
I don't know.
I-
Well, and if there was a problem, I can always let Becky know. She's the one who does all this stuff. So I am like not technologically advanced whatsoever. So I do my best.
Either am I, but it works and everything works now. So whether it just didn't work for me, it works now. So I'm good.
Okay, good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, bronze week 2. Yeah, there was a lot in week 1 to get through.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there, now it finally stops you. Well, does anybody have any other questions? Okay. Well, this was good. I appreciate y'all coming on tonight, and it is recorded, so I will pop this on when I'm done. And if you guys have any questions throughout the week, or you're doing your workout and you snap a selfie, or you have a bomb plate of food, post it. Like, I feel like this is what this community is for. So let's use each other as resources, right? But that's all I have for you. So if you guys are all good, then you guys have a wonderful evening. I'm gonna
Thank
go
you.
Thank you so much. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
stop recording, and we will see y'all later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.